Okay, so a lot has changed since the last time I made a video like this going over my bass pedal board and my setup that I use for a live setting. So in today's video, I'm going to give you the complete updated version, what I'm doing with what in this setup. And I'm also going to give some honorable mention to some like actual physical and analog pedals that you can use to replace some of the stuff that I'm doing with this setup. And without further ado, let's jump right in. The first thing I want to talk about is the bass very briefly. The reason I love this bass is it has an EMG preamp in it. This is with the preamp off. This is with the preamp on. And I have the bass boosted all the way. Depending on the room and the setting that I'm playing in, I'll play around with the mids. So this is flat. This is the mids all the way up. It gives it that bite, and just depending on the type of room we're in, I will play around with that setting. And then finally I have the treble over here if I'm doing some slap stuff. Then I'll have that up all the way. Usually it's at noon. So that's the bass. I also keep this in the Stingray configuration, which is these back two pickups in series. I love how that sounds live. I don't like how that sounds for like home and recording stuff, but I'm mostly 97% of what I do is live anyways. So doesn't really matter. So I use the Stingray setting on this bass. So after that, let's go to the pedal board. What has stayed the same is the Shure wireless. I use this just for the purpose now, not of a tuner, but to go wireless on stage so I can walk around. Also, another thing that is, like, well, that was the same. This is different. This is what's powering everything on here. And the reason I don't put the DC chucks under or inside is because if one of these cables, gets funky at a gig, I don't want to have to, go and open up at the back of the pedal board and mess around with stuff like that. I want to have easy access to this, so I like it here. I also have the room for it right now, so why not have it on top and here to play around with if I need to. Luckily, fingers crossed, it's very reliable. I haven't had that issue yet, but just in case. So this is powered by this. The Shure is the same from last time. The only difference is I have a Sonic sticker here. It's stupid, it doesn't matter. So the majority of what's happening with my live sound now is the Darkglass Anagram. The other pedals are all sidechained. So I go from this Shure wireless into the Anagram, and then these cables that come out of the top are a side chain, excuse me. It goes from the Darkglass Anagram into the Big Booty Judy. I still use that for my main dirt sound. I have the microsynth here, which I'm going to be removing soon because I don't like how that plays with an active bass. It doesn't sound good at all, to be completely honest with you. It only sounds good with the passive bass, in my opinion. And then I have the MXR bass synth. I like it a lot. It also sounds a lot better with a passive bass. I use the presets that Ian Martin Allison made in here, which are awesome. But it doesn't play nice when I boost the bass on an active bass or, do things to the EQ. It kind of accentuates a lot of the synth sounds in a not even way. So been tinkering around with that. But what I'm doing with this sidechain, and the first thing you're going to see here with the Darkglass Anagram, and the real reason I use it is I go in. So this is going from left to right, right? There's a gain knob here just to add or take down gain if I want. I think I have it at, minus 13 dB right now, just because I have a very loud and active bass. And then from there, what I do is I split my signal. What this does is the top row of the Anagram, so this whole row is only dealing with frequencies from my bass above 300 hertz. So everything on that top row is above 295, 300. Everything on the bottom row is going to be everything below 300. The reason I do that is because I want to have my low end, so everything under 300 pretty much, unaffected by any effects that I choose to press on or off. And I also want to compress the ever-living crap out of it. I want it to be like a brick wall, not moving. I want that to be constant when I'm playing high notes and low notes. So I'll show you what that sounds like right now. So let's have this on. So the split. If I play my bass, that's with everything normal. Now, if I take row 1, right now you're only hearing the low end. So everything under 300. If I do the opposite, so if I put that back at 0, put it there, and then I take down row 2. See that? So row 2 now is on 0, and you're only hearing row 1. What I'm trying to show here is that the real reason I have this in my chain and what I'm doing with it is to compress heavily, like you'll see in a second, this bottom row. So my dog wants to go out, she's whining. But basically I'm compressing once, and then I'm going into a heavy duty compressor here where I have it to 100 to 1. And what that does is it just makes the low end like a brick house. And when you're playing higher notes like this, there's low end in those notes. Usually you'll sacrifice low end when you play higher notes like that. But what the anagram allows me to do is to not have that sacrifice. So I do some stuff with the EQ, high pass, low pass, and then a gain knob here just to make sure that that's even with my bass's true signal. That's the bottom row. The top row, and what I'm doing here is compressing, I think it's 8 to 1 ratio there on the everything above 300 hertz. Have a high pass filter, and then I have this little bit of dirt on, so you'll hear, this is without the dirt. This is with the dirt. Just adds a little bit of bite and helps cut through the mix just a little bit. And then this, when I press this on, that's my effects loop. So now all of these pedals are fair game to play with. So Big Booty Judy, for instance, like if I'm just playing, that's without it. Whoops, haven't played that song in a while. That's that. Again, this does not sound good. This is the microsynth. And it's only affecting everything above 300 hertz. And then we have the microsynth. I think I'm going to keep that. Every time I hear it or I play around with it, I'm like, how could I get rid of this pedal? Or take it off the board at least. So, anyways. Something I also have here is a tap, so you can go through all the different sounds that the bass microsynth has. I'll do that very quickly. Next one. This is that sound I was just using. My favorite one. Okay, there's 8 total. And the last one. But this really for me is just set to that third green preset, which is that that sound. So that's that. I still have the wiretap at the end of the chain here. Again, if you see any videos on Instagram or YouTube or anything that I post like this, in a live setting, I'm using the wiretap. It records my signal parallel out from the Darkglass Anagram. And then all I have to do is tap that, it records, and then when I press play, it plays it out again. You can use it for looping too, but that feature's also in the Darkglass Anagram. So I just use this to record my signal live, and then I make videos with it like this. So in the Darkglass Anagram, I have this kind of main setting that's just my basic sound for when I'm playing stuff that doesn't require like a particular sound. But then I have another preset that I call GC Rock, and this is just my dry signal normal. When I turn this on, it's the Sans amp. So that is you know, this is like the virtual version, excuse me, of the SansAmp that's sitting right there. The amazing thing about the Darkglass Anagram is they're constantly updating it, and this was one of their most recent updates, the SansAmp clone. You know, they don't call it the SansAmp because I guess that's like a, whatever, I don't know, some sort of issue. But so this would be dry. This is with the SansAmp. Adds that SansAmp bite. If I want more dirt, as that implies, this is what it's going to sound like. More of like a digital kind of Darkglass dirt sound. And then finally, most. This is a fuzz. Just filthy. It sounds so good. And then I have this set up the same way. It's a clone of my normal preset where I'm still sidechaining that low end like that. So all of these effects, whoops, come on. All of these effects, 1, 2, 3, are not touching anything below 300 hertz. So the low end, you're getting a lot of feedback there. The low end remains untouched, which for me is the most important part of my live sound, making sure that that low end is maintained through the whole show. And when I put on a dirt pedal, it's not going to just suck it right out like a rat pedal would. So that's the, you know, live rock sound. I've been playing around with creating synth sounds in here. It's nowhere near done right now. They're constantly releasing more and more pedals in the Darkglass Anagram, like I said. But eventually I'd like to take, you know, all these other pedals off and just have the Anagram, my wiretap, and the Shure wireless here. Less is more, I think. And I'm an old soul. I'm tired of dragging around this big pedal board. But basically this is what I'm coming up with so far. Some sort of chorus and fuzz together to make a synthy sound. This is also the same, where it's only affecting everything above 300 hertz. That's that. Oh, this is me trying to replicate the bass synth. It's not the same, you'll see. Not even close. It needs a lot of work, but still pretty cool. And then this is supposed to do, you know, I'm trying to like create something that will do what I'm looking for when I do the microsynth. So like big. I'm actually really happy with that. That's just a fuzz before I merge my low end back in, and then with the low end, I send it through a an octaver. So I'm really, oh, whoops, I did not mean to switch those. That's the only bad, not bad thing about this, but it's like if you touch something, you could very easily move stuff around. And for all of my presets in here, I go through a cab sim, which is also something new. I've never done that before, and the reason I do that is with all these effects, I really like how the cab sim affects everything. So I use the Forester Thick. This is without it. Let's do without it. That's without it. And people say like you shouldn't use a cab sim with your clean signal. I disagree. I think it sounds awesome. I love the way that it accentuates the low end and mids. So I have my low end going through the cab sim, which most people I've seen have their low end going after the cab sim. And then at the end of each preset, I have a gain knob just to, you know, if I need more or less signal. So all three of those presets are uniform. And that is really it. My old setup, and like I said, I'm going to go through honorable mention pedals because for all my analog people here, I'm sure you're like rolling your eyes like, oh, he went digital. This is basically the Neural DSP, but for bassists. Yes, I sold out. I'm tired. I'm just tired of knobs and BS. I just want to show up and play and have my sound be uniform. So, the big thing that I use this for, and I've made videos about this in the past, is compressing the low end, right? There's 3 pedals that do that here. This is the Phil Jones something. I've made a video about this in the past, but it's a compressor that you have the low end and the high end separate, and you can compress it. The only thing that you can't do, which the Darkglass Anagram does, is you can send your low end separate, but it's way more complicated to leave it untouched than just doing it through the Anagram. That's that. A way smaller version, and I just want to show the difference here, that does it just as well is the Spectra Comp. 1 knob, we love that. And the reason I like this a lot is because you just plug it into your computer and you can set in there, you know, your cutoff frequencies for the low compression, how much you want it to be compressed, the thresholds, all that kind of stuff. It's all digital. And then this is just 1 knob, and it does all the same stuff as this. Just can't send more than 1 signal out. That's fine. And then the last honorable mention is the Microtubes X Ultra from Darkglass. This has a low-end compressor that can go up to 500 hertz. I used this for a very long time until I came across the Anagram. And this, again, can't do what the Anagram does in, like, side chaining the low end and leaving it unaffected for a bunch of other signals. It does that for the distortion built into this, but it won't do that for all the other things. So the direction I see this going in is there's going to be a world where I replicate these synth sounds inside the Darkglass Anagram, and that's all I'm going to be pulling up with. Just, you know, my power supply, the chucks probably, the wireless so I can walk around and be an idiot on stage, then the Darkglass Anagram, and the wiretap just to record my signal. Like I said, I am an old soul, and I am tired. I'm tired of dragging this thing around in a big case. So that's pretty much it. This will probably change in the future, so if you want to see what the next iteration, that would be, I guess, part 3, looks like, subscribe or follow, or wherever you're seeing this, you know, do the things that will let you see my videos again if you want to. And let me know what sounds you liked, what you prefer for your pedal board in the comments, and what your thoughts are. If you use the Anagram, if you don't like it, if you like the pedals I have on here, if you don't like them, the bass, so on and so forth. But that's it for now, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.